Hi friends, welcome to another installment of my job search at 50 plus. I have a renewed sense of purpose after a very disturbing revelation to what my resume is telling employers. I am not the greatest writer in the world and have a mental block when it comes to writing my resume. It is psychological and quite debilitating in some respects. I can write out whatever I would like to say when it comes to a wide variety of subjects, and put together any report you would like to have, with a few caveats here or there. I have been known to be somewhat brief with my way of conveying information. Those times I find that I do not want to write in a style that misuses a lot of words. However, when it comes to resumes, I have a mental block that is really frustrating. So I have turned to AI for my resume. Big mistake. I thought that it would streamline my application process and give me the ability to make changes to my resume for each business and different responsibilities without having to do a lot of editing. This was a very foolish notion, and I know this. However, I was trying to grasp at just about anything that would keep me from sitting in front of my computer for too long, poring over job descriptions, and tailoring my resume long enough to watch the job pass me by while I was still trying to apply for it. Why this topic? Simply, I had it revealed to me that my resume was the worst that a resume checker had ever seen. I wanted to get a reason for my rejection and subsequent ghosting by a recruiter that emailed me asking for an updated resume, and they would send me an invite to interview over Teams once I sent it to them. I thought perfect, perhaps my long job business could be over in a few Washington State business days. Translated. Up to 2 weeks. When it came to the follow-through from the recruiter, I would have suffocated if I would have held my breath waiting for even a reply. There was no feedback whatsoever, and I wondered why this was happening, and with the vast majority of companies. The proof came when I tried to put my resume through a resume critique engine. To my surprise, my resume was not only bad, but it was the worst the algorithm had ever seen. It even said so. I was stunned to the point that I shut down my computer and sat on the porch for what seemed like the rest of the day. Actually, I got a phone call from a friend I hadn't spoken to in quite some time. We used the time to catch up, and I relaxed a bit, decided to take another crack at it after consulting with my inner child for a while. I ended up doing some research and coding a Python program for doing a spot check critique of my resume from an ATS, or applicant tracking system standpoint. The program gives a brutal assessment of job fitness as opposed to my resume. I have yet to score anything above a 75%. It honestly keeps me honest about my expectations for my resume. Now that I'm armed with the basics, I'm back on the horse with this week's job search. It has been officially 8 months and 1 business week since my last job engagement. What I have done now is said a mental goodbye to the companies I applied to before, and I'm focusing on new, unsolicited prospects. I'm averaging 0.7 recruiter correspondence emails per week, and most of the time it is a spray and pray email from a recruiter that does not even have my information, just my LinkedIn page and the fact that I am listed as looking, I think. First up is a hit from a gentleman reaching out to me from LinkedIn.com with the subject "Learn about a new opportunity." Red flag is up on this one. This user comes to me from the Field Nation LLC side of things, a platform for gig work that has fallen into a bargain basement of low-paying work with more stipulations than details about the jobs being offered, and follow-through has deteriorated to an almost dangerous level. Anyhow, I imagine from the tone he has determined that I am not getting the work I want and would like to offer me a chance to start a business that I have no way to afford getting into, that is harder a market than most other businesses due to the nature of the model. Add that to the fact that I am not a sales-oriented person, by any means. It all adds up to a waste of time. Time that I have spent sending out bad resumes and getting ghosted. Seriously ghosted. Getting into the topic for today. The offerings that are getting little to no pushback. Employers that are now taking liberties with the job offerings. Let me explain. There's a growing trend with employers that offer jobs to applicants on an automated system that collects information and presents several things for a person to agree to. These things can be non-disclosure agreements, arbitration agreements, or in some cases the employer simply lists a series of job requirements and duties, only to place the sentence, "other duties as assigned." The last is really a bad practice that companies use to make everything your job. There are no checks or balances on duties as assigned. Whatever they decide is your job at the time qualifies as duties as assigned. If you see the sentence, move on, and leave the job to those that don't mind indentured servitude, which is what that phrase says. To be clear, this job has a few things that give a person pause, and in my opinion, a target candidate is a desperate student. The student does not know that the wage, for one, is not a fit for the job offered. Low wage for required skill level. $22 per hour, $45,760 per year is far below regional IT support averages in Snohomish County. For comparison, entry-level IT support in Washington typically starts at $25 to $30 per hour. MSP and or on-site hybrid roles often pay $28 to $35 per hour. Casino environments require gaming license compliance, which adds responsibility without increasing pay. This is the biggest red flag. Mandatory nights, weekends, holidays. The posting repeats this twice. Work nights, weekends, and holidays is required. Casinos run 24/7 and IT is expected to support operations continuously. This means rotating shifts, possible graveyard coverage, holiday blackout periods, limited schedule flexibility. If you value predictable hours, this is a major pitfall. Gaming license requirement. Gaming license PNGE. You must obtain a Class A3 gaming license from the Stelagirmish Tribal Gaming Agency. Pitfalls. Background checks are more invasive than standard employment checks. Financial history, debts, and personal associations may be reviewed. License can be revoked, equaling automatic job loss. Renewal required annually. This is a unique burden compared to normal IT roles. High physical labor expectations. The posting requires exerting up to 50 pounds, bending and crouching, repetitive movement daily. This is more physical than typical IT support. Frequent hardware moves. Crawling under tables, kiosks, gaming machines, lifting heavy casino equipment. Long periods on your feet. If you prefer infrastructure or remote support, this is a mismatch. Tier 1 role disguised as Tier 1.5 with Tier 2 qualifications. They call it Tier 1, but responsibilities include Windows Server Exchange, SharePoint, hardware upgrades, training users, troubleshooting casino-specific systems, maintaining inventory, project work, Tier Roman 2 research tasks. This is more responsibility than a typical Tier 1 role without Tier 2 pay. Heavy emphasis on guest service over technical skill. The posting starts with World's friendliest casino resort, exceptional guest service. This signals you will interact with non-technical casino staff constantly. Soft skills may matter more than technical expertise. You may be pulled into customer-facing situations. You may be blamed for issues outside your control. Casino culture is hospitality-driven, not tech-driven. Broad other duties as assigned clause. This is common, but in casinos it often means surveillance system support, point-of-sale kiosk troubleshooting, slot machine network support, emergency response during outages, being pulled into unrelated operational tasks. Scope can expand quickly. This is one that should be passed on by anyone, and I mean anyone who has the skills demanded by this position. 1. If you can't run, fly. We should just move on. I have more on this topic, however I will need to make a video solely devoted to this topic. Thank you for joining me on this topic. I will have more in the next part. I would like to get your feedback on this series. Please leave a comment. Like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified of more content. Bye for now.